The flat barbell bench press is one of the greatest exercises of all time. It effectively builds the chest, shoulders, and triceps while providing amazing general strength benefits. The only problem though is that a lot of guys are getting hurt from doing this lift. And that's why in this video, I want to give you 5 life-changing strategies that's going to allow you to bench press safely and heavy for the rest of your life. Now, obviously, I'm not guaranteeing anything here, but I think that if you listen to what I got to say, you should notice great improvements in the way your body feels. You're not going to get injured, no nagging pains, none of that type of stuff. So let's break this down. My first piece of advice is that you need to start bench pressing like a powerlifter. What you need to understand is that the sport of powerlifting has literally perfected the bench press. There are very specific rules, guidelines, and regulations that you must follow to prevent from getting red lighted. And as a result, powerlifters, through their many decades of experience, have refined the bench press technique. They've mastered it such that you can A, lift maximum amounts of weight, and B, do it in the safest way possible. Otherwise, you're not going to see too many guys doing this for a long period of time. So the way that the powerlifters bench press is very simple. You retract your scapula, so shoulders up, back, down. You tuck the elbows a little bit, you roll the bar to your chest, you plant your feet firmly into the ground, squeezing the glutes, and then there's a pause off the chest and you press back up. Now, the pause, I'm not saying you have to do, okay, because you're not a competitive powerlifter. They mainly do that to prevent bouncing off the chest, but that's the powerlifter bench press. And if you want the best possible tutorial on how to do it, you need to watch Dave Tate's Bench Press Cure. It's an excellent tutorial. It's going to teach you exactly how to do it. Or you can watch my video that I made, The Only Way to Bench Press, okay? And that in itself should prove to be very valuable for you because you need to start benching like a powerlifter, not these guys in the gym who are just flaring their elbows completely to the side, bringing the bar to their upper chest, guillotine style, not being tight. This is a #1 way of getting hurt. So how about you take from the best guys in the field, namely powerlifters, guys who perfect the bench technique, and do it like that. Train like a powerlifter, and I promise you, I absolutely promise you, that your longevity will be increased. And you won't be sacrificing muscle gains as a result. You're actually going to get bigger and stronger because you're doing it correctly, okay? My second piece of advice is that you need to start using a close grip on your bench press. Well, not necessarily a close grip, but you need to narrow your grip. Instead of going collar to collar, or instead of going like super wide or past the rings, why don't you just keep it shoulder width apart? Keep it simple. If you relax in front, raise your arms out like this. That's your bench press grip width. Or, you know what, if that's too close for you, bring it up, then a little bit wide. That's all. And you can be in a really good position where your elbows, wrists, and shoulders are perfectly aligned. What this does, it makes it a lot easier to tuck in your elbows and use proper form. And on top of that, the close grip bench press has really good strength benefits. If you get strong at the close grip, your wide will raise automatically because you're getting a lot stronger triceps and you're going through a greater range of motion, okay? So it's a great way to bench press. You're not going to sacrifice any pec gains off it. You're actually going to get stronger. You're going to get bigger without internally rotating your shoulders like crazy because that's what happens when guys do super wide benching for many, many years. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of powerlifters can do this safely is because their arch is extreme. They use an extreme arch on the bench press, and of course they have really good structures to do it safely. But I would say that for most lifters, if you start going too wide on the bench, where like your hands are clearly way outside of your elbows, that's a one-way ticket of injuring your shoulders, straining the pecs, because there's going to be a lot more internal shoulder rotation. There's a higher chance of straining a pec, straining a shoulder. It's just not recommended. So narrow your grip out a little bit. It can be shoulder width apart or a little bit wider. I think you're going to be all good. My third piece of advice is to start implementing the reverse band bench press into your training. And basically, the reverse band bench is such that you attach bands on top of a power rack to the edge of the collars on a regular barbell. And what happens is as you lower the bar, the bands begin to lengthen, right? And then as you press off your chest, the bands shorten and it gives you a pop. So it's kind of giving you a spot. The bands are a spotter, that's all. It's like a spotter pressing on the bar. Now the benefit is that at the top of the rep, you'll be holding 100% of the weight, but at the bottom, you're deloading the weight. So if you're using mini bands, it might be 25, 30 pounds lighter off the chest. And that's where most injuries occur. Most of the injuries occur down here. So if you use a reverse band bench, so you're holding like say 300 at the top, 275 off the chest, that could make the difference in keeping you injury free. That could make all the difference right there. And again, it doesn't matter if you're raw, if you're equipped, that doesn't mean anything. What I'm trying to say is that the reverse band bench press is one of the safest ways to bench press, period. Like this is not even up for debate. It deloads the bottom. It's a very, very safe lift, It gives you that extra pop. So it doesn't matter if you're raw, if you're equipped. It doesn't matter if you don't compete in powerlifting. It just doesn't matter. It's a good lift, and that's all we need to know. So if you're trying to bench press for longevity, I recommend you give it a shot. You might find that off the bottom, it gives you the little bit of protection that you need, okay? And I would personally recommend that when you do the reverse band, you mess with 3 tensions, mini bands, monster mini bands, and the lights. All right, the lights can remove quite a bit, so you want to be mindful as to how much you're actually taking off the chest. I recommend that you actually weigh it. You want to find out how much is off the chest and how much is that lockout. Once you got that down, you'll know how to program around it. My fourth point is to start using the Slingshot. Now, the Slingshot was created by Mark Bell, former competitive powerlifter and founder of the Super Training Gym. He designed it with the idea of being able to press heavy and safely for longevity. And that's exactly what the Slingshot delivers. I can safely say that this is the best product I've ever used in my entire life for bench pressing safely. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the thing you have to understand is that there's different types of Slingshots, right? There's a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Not all of them are created equal. Some of them will give you more pop, some will give you less. And just so that you understand what the Slingshot does, essentially, it's a thing that you wear around your elbows, right? And as you lower the weight, there's like a band inside of it that it stretches and contracts like your muscles. So it kind of gives you a second pair of pecs, weaker pecs, might I add. And of course, these second pecs can become stronger depending on which Slingshot you buy, okay? So what it does is it gives you a pop off the chest, a little bit of a pop right here, and then from middle to lockout, it's 100% you. It's not like reverse band where you're getting a spot, nor is it like double bands or chains. You're holding the straight weight, you're lowering it down, and then you get a bit of a pop off the chest, and then you lock it. Now, the benefit of the Slingshot is it gives you material protection, right? Which is obviously going to keep your shoulders and pecs safe. It forces you to tuck the elbows in. It forces you to roll the bar to your chest. It teaches proper form. It gives you comfort. It gives you material protection, and it gives you overload, right? So I highly recommend this thing. And in fact, I would say that if you really want to bench press for longevity and you don't compete in powerlifting, you have no plans on competing in powerlifting, you can use it exclusively. You can easily go in every single time you bench, use only the Slingshot. Absolutely, you could do that because it's that good in preventing injuries. It's one of the safest things ever. Like guys who have pec tears can do the Slingshot. Guys who have had shoulder strains, shoulder surgeries can do the Slingshot in most cases. So I really recommend this piece of equipment. Again, I'm not sponsored by Mark Bell, but it's so fucking good that I have to recommend it. It's just absolutely incredible. And personally, I would recommend that you guys get the red version, which is the standard original, right? There's the blue, which gives you like 5-10% overload. Red gives you 10 to 15, although in most cases you're only going to get 10, which equates to about like 30 pounds, 30, 40 pounds. There's also the yellow and the black, but those are like heavy. Like yellow can add 10 to 20%. The black could add 15 to 20%. And that could be quite a bit. That could be upwards of 70 pounds. But I recommend that you use the red tension. The red should be more than enough for keeping you safe in the long term. And if you guys want an example of a guy who actually does use Slingshot exclusively, check out Steve Shaw. Steve Shaw, the owner of the Massive Iron channel. He's a great guy. He's a really strong dude, seasoned lifter, and he's been using it exclusively. I remember I saw him do 4-5 for 2 with a sling, and then he took it off and he got 385 bench press. So it absolutely has carryover to raw bench while keeping you injury-free in the process. So definitely recommend it. And then my final piece of advice is to start treating your mobility work more seriously. Your mobility work, your muscular weaknesses, and your connective tissue, right? And the thing is, I'm not going to dive into this too much because I really hate talking about mobility and it's not totally my specialty. But I will say that you should have very strong rear delts, rotator cuffs, and upper back. Like you need to develop this area. And the best way of doing this is lots of band face pulls, lots of band pull aparts, lots of band innies and outies, doing lots of lat pull downs and rows to strengthen out the upper back. And of course, maybe implementing the crazy bell bench press where you suspend kettlebells from a barbell. You suspend the kettlebells, it's going to create a shakiness effect. You could do it off the bench press, you could do it off the overhead press. And if you have access to a bamboo bar, definitely make use of that. So I would do that once a month for something like 4 sets of 20, or 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 10, something like that. But that's all you really got to do in terms of staying injury-free for the bench press. You need to use a powerlifting bench press form. Pause is optional, although the pause can teach you how to stay tight, and that can help because you're not going to lift as heavy off the chest. So pause can keep you safe, but it's not mandatory. But you need to, number 1, bench like a powerlifter. 2, you need to narrow your grip out a little bit. 3, you should start implementing reverse band if you start getting a little bit of nagging pains because it's going to deload the bottom. 4, you should definitely implement the Slingshot. If not, use it exclusively on your bench press for longevity. And then 5, you need to start doing more mobility work. Start treating this area very carefully. Stretch out your muscles. Get rid of those muscular imbalances. Make sure you don't have kyphotic posture. Make sure that you have everything in check so that when you bench, you're doing it properly. And that, my friends, is my guide in staying injury-free, how to bench press forever. And I know the title might sound a little bit over-exaggerated, but that's besides the point. I just want to help you guys stay injury-free while getting strong in the process. So I hope these tips helped you out. And with that, go kick some ass.